Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Today we look at a woman who lived a very lavish lifestyle while she ran her notorious gangster boyfriend's cocaine and cannabis empire whilst he was in prison. Jamey Leigh Brook Parkinson, who was 27, had even recruited her own mother, Wendy Brook, who was 47, to deal drugs to her friends to make extra money, and had planned to exploit her mum's beauty salon by laundering the money that she had made from drug profits. Miss Brooks Parkinson was in constant contact with her jail boyfriend, and although he was locked up himself, he had been able to teach her how to operate and run the drugs business efficiently whilst he was incarcerated. In the messages that were found by detectives, especially the ones that had been sent after her boyfriend had illegally acquired a Xantech mobile phone in the prison system, the messages had in fact explained where Miss Brooks Parkinson could obtain the equipment needed to make substantial profits, and told her which scales would be best to use in order to measure the drugs that were for sale. The couple also discussed building an empire, with one text from Miss Brooks Parkinson reading, "I'm doing the best I can so you don't have to start from the bottom when you're home." Other messages said, "100% babe, I will get everything back on point. We will smash it. And you're nearly out, so fuck it." Manchester Crown Court also heard how Miss Brooke Parkinson had splashed out on regular occasions, spending thousands of pounds on designer clothes, all whilst running the drugs empire. This included spending £510 on a pair of Valentino trainers for her partner. She was arrested at her home in Clifton, Salford, during a raid in which Greater Manchester Police seized a quantity of cocaine worth £2,000, mobile phones and packaging. The police had begun an investigation into the drugs operation after one of her boyfriend's lieutenants was arrested in possession of Class A drugs. As part of this investigation, it became clear to the police that Miss Brooks Parkinson was involved in the operation through telephone contact by initially moving his money around for him. Miss Brooks' boyfriend was locked up for 32 months in April 2019. The man who was Miss Brooks' partner had become very angry that his former criminal colleagues were now branching out on their own, all whilst he was serving time at Forest Bank Prison, and he urged his girlfriend to, in a bid to keep control of the market, help him run the drugs operation whilst he was locked up, the court had heard. In the illicit messages that were found, the pair had spoken about building an empire together, and the 33-year-old, even though he was locked up, had managed to transfer Miss Brooks Parkinson £500 to go on a hen trip and enjoy herself. Prosecutor Henry Blackshaw said that initially, the pair had messaged by text message on mobile phones. This was before moving on to WhatsApp to be a little bit more careful, and then moving on to the even more, or so they thought, secure networking app that is commonly used in the UK criminal underworld called Wicker. Mr. Blackshaw also added, early messaging between the two relates that what was quite clearly a very well thought out and very established drugs operation. It involved the moving and laundering of drugs money, and it also involved the passing on of messages. These messages were used to cause considerable damage to people's property, especially those who were owing to the drugs business that the couple had built. The couple had also discussed buying exclusive designer goods for each other, and talked about other expensive purchases that they had made for each other. Throughout these conversations, Miss Brooks Parkinson refers to setting up more lines when her partner is released from prison, and often refers to other people that have been ripping him off whilst he was locked up. Miss Brooks Parkinson informs her partner that she knows who uses drugs and who would buy from him, and she agrees that whilst he is locked up, she will set up a regular cocaine drugs line. He instructed her where to get the equipment from, how to sell the drugs, and instructed her which scales to use, and they discussed building an empire. In other messages, the couple talked about who should get payments and suggested paying money to people who were clearly working for him. Miss Brooks Parkinson said she was promoting the business on Snapchat and Instagram as much as possible. The court also heard that in one conversation she asked, "Did you have a slug?" meaning a line of cocaine, and he responded by sending a photo of a line of white powder from his cell. The court was also told how there was discussions of how to secure a new source for cocaine after another supplier had fell through. Mr. Blackshaw also added that Messages between Miss Brooks Parkinson and her mother were in relation to the sale of drugs. There was further messaging between Miss Brooks Parkinson and her mum, where she discussed about writing everything down, especially what's been had and what's left. The prosecutor also said that there was evidence of drugs being supplied and smoked in constant messages, including one message saying that a customer was going to be coming round for a smoke. The court also heard how Miss Brooks Parkinson and her boyfriend had discussed putting the money through her mother's beauty salon. Miss Brooks Parkinson also sent an image to her friend of expensive clothing and the original bags on the bed, and when asked how much it was, she said it was £3,380. Following her arrest, the police discovered 14 grams of 81% purity cocaine, as well as 27 bags, all containing white powder of just under 9 grams. The boyfriend also urged her to keep 1,750 in one box of perfume and 2,400 in the other, and told her, "I can't thank you enough, baby, for all the help you've given me. It means a lot. You are the only person I trust, and until I get 10 grand a week, I'm not going to be happy." When questioned in court about why she had got involved, Miss Brooks Parkinson said, "I've been struggling financially for the last 12 months, and I've been in debt for almost 2 years. Although I do not use drugs in any way, I turned to supplying them because I felt I had no other choice, and I understand that what I did was very wrong. My children are my world to me, and I've put them at risk, which I deeply regret. They were not aware of the drugs being in the house, and I want to be there for my children." Her counsel, Richard Vernon, said, "She was acting in a servile way for her partner's best interest and for his benefit, and in his opinion, the relationship was not equal. She is a young woman with a young family, and is obviously very fearful of the consequences of her own stupidity and criminality. For her, this man was the love of her life, and whilst being locked up, he had exploited that." Miss Brooks Parkinson was very naive, and in her position was easily exploited. She is a young woman who has made a very terrible mistake. However, in sentencing her, Judge Nicholas Dean said, "What you did, I am certain, is acted out of affection for him and loyalty to him, and he is a very manipulative man." That having been said, looking at the evidence on the messaging, it showed a young woman volunteering herself into very serious offending at a relatively high level in the drugs game. You organised his business for him whilst he was serving his sentence. You did so not just out of affection and loyalty to him, but, as misguided and stupid as it is, you did so because you enjoyed the benefits and advantages and the money that you had generated from running his business. Miss Brooks Parkinson was jailed for 3 years. Miss Brooks Parkinson's mother was sentenced to a 12 months community order, 15 days of a rehabilitation activity requirements, and 100 hours of unpaid work. Miss Brooks Parkinson's boyfriend is due to stand trial next year for the crime. What are your opinions of the case of Miss Brooks Parkinson? Do you believe her sentencing was excessive or not excessive enough? Please let us know in the comments below. And as always, stay safe.